Hey, it's Mike. Thanks for tuning back in. It's Friday, Attic Find Friday. Always an exciting time. It's my favorite video. I hope it's yours too. One of my early attic finds from like a month or so ago just got picked up by the YouTube algorithm a few days ago, and it got a couple thousand more views just kind of out of nowhere. And like 50 or 60 of you have subscribed in the last few days thanks to that video. So thank you for joining us. I do weekly Attic Find Fridays. I try to do them on Fridays. Yesterday, before we get started on the Attic Find, I did a fun little birthday blaster opening, and I do those knowing not very many people are going to watch them, but some of my diehard subscribers love that stuff. So somebody pointed out that this John Kruk was from the 1993 All-Star Game after Randy Johnson struck him out. Thank you for pointing that out. My buddy Kevin also pointed out that this is a parallel because it's the black border or black writing parallel. So thank you to both of you. I actually remember that All-Star Game and that happening. Didn't pick up on that when I saw it though. Somebody else also pointed out that this Andrew McCutcheon refractor is number 225, as you can see at the top there on the back. So thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, why did I stop ripping wax? It's fun, but it's also bad. So, Attic Find Friday. Today's is the Lucky 7 Ty Cobb find. And this is a really cool one. And there are actually two attic finds in one here. So stick around for the end of the story, which results in a second attic find. Have you heard of the Lucky 7 find? Let me know in comments. This happened in 2016. Actually, in February of 2016, only 15 cards of this Ty Cobb Back were known to exist. And we're going to talk a little bit about the card. We'll talk a lot about the card. But only 15 of them exist. And now, 7 years later, 24 of them exist, largely thanks to this find. So Rick Snyder owns Mint State, which is a PSA authorized dealer that specializes in rare high-grade cards. And the owner, Rick, received a call one morning in February of 2016 from a family who was cleaning out their great-grandparents' old dilapidated house in the south of the United States. And they said that they felt like they had some pretty rare cards and they wanted him to take a look at them. And so he said, yeah, send me some pictures of them. So they took some pictures, and then he asked for more pictures, and he felt like, well, these look really good. Actually, he had never seen the card before, first of all, and with the back anyway. So he did some research and started realizing this could be legit. And he went back and forth with them a bit, and then he flew out to see them, and then he was convinced. And he called up, I think his next call was to Joe Orlando of PSA at the time, and he was very excited. And Joe Orlando writes a great summary of this find, and I really encourage you to just Google Lucky 7 Find PSA, and I think it was the top result for me. Joe Orlando wrote on PSA's website basically like a blog post about the find and what he was thinking throughout it, and it's really cool. So Orlando had them ship in the cards. Shockingly, I think I would probably drive them in. But Joe Orlando goes down to the receiving place at PSA. He's there when they open them, and he's looking at them, and he's convinced immediately that they're real. But they have their experts look at them, and then they bring in outside experts. That's how rare this card is, to look at these 7 cards. So what is the card? It is, you're familiar probably with T206. I'm no T206 expert, so I'm not even going to dive into T206, but the basics of it are there are more than 500 cards. I think it's 525 T206 cards. There are 16 different cigarette or tobacco ad backs that you can have. So it's a big, big set from the early 1900s. One of the cards is the red portrait Ty Cobb. But there was a special variation of this that at the time only had 15 copies known to exist. And this was called the Ty Cobb Back, and it still is called the Ty Cobb Back. On the back, it's got the red portrait on the front. On the back of it, it says, and I don't want to get this wrong. It says, Ty Cobb, King of the Smoking Tobacco World. So, probably a proud moment for Mr. Cobb back then. It's a very different back. The front of it is also glossy. It's glossier than the normal T206. Experts believe that it was added a glossy coating so that it was known to be a premier item and that it wouldn't get ruined by tobacco being in cigarette packs. Of course, it still did up until this find. There was nothing above a PSA 1 known to exist. So they were all still damaged by tobacco being in packs. And by the way, I'm really hoping that you can't hear my wife's music upstairs, because if you can hear it, then YouTube can hear it and they are going to block this video. So I'm really hoping that you can't hear that. Back to the family. This family is going through their great-grandparents' belongings in an old house. They find a brown paper bag that's torn, it's on a floor, and they just set it aside in the garbage. They think it's garbage. But as they go through more stuff, they start finding things that they're like, this is really interesting. Let's go back through some of these things that we set aside in the garbage. And so they take this bag and they open it. And they find old postcards, other paper products, and then at the bottom, face down, are 7 Ty Cobb backs, T206s. Now, they didn't know what these cards were, but several of them talked about how they were familiar with the Black Swamp find, which I did a video on 3 weeks ago maybe. The Black Swamp find had been on TV. I don't remember what channel or even what show it was on, but it was a featured episode just like 2 years before. So a couple people of the family had seen that, were familiar with it, and they said, hey, what if these are valuable cards too? And so that's when they called up the Mint State guy. So this family, obviously, they get them to PSA. PSA grades them. They grade them, one's a 1.5. They had 4 grade out at 2.5. One graded at a 3.5 and one at a 4.5. And those are the highest graded Ty Cobb backs in existence. So pretty fascinating. They ended up selling them for over $3 million. So imagine you're going through your great-grandparents' house. It's dilapidated, it's trash, it's just, you're basically just throwing everything away. Just like, take everything, dump it into a dumpster and take it. But you happen to have this kind of instinct and you say, what if there's something in this bag here? And you dig through the bag, you're wasting your time for the most part. But these guys had unbelievable luck to find more than $3 million worth of baseball cards sitting at the bottom of this bag. Pretty awesome. It's the dream. I say this in all these videos, but it's the dream. Of course, the T206 set is the same one with the Hannes Wagner. I shouldn't say a lot. Some experts don't think that the Ty Cobb back was actually part of the T206 set, but most experts agree that it was just a premium item that they included. Jefferson Burdick, for what it's worth, which I think is a lot, also felt like the Ty Cobb back was part of the T206 set in his 1960 book that categorized or cataloged baseball cards and baseball card history. So it's generally accepted that the Ty Cobb back is part of the set. It is its own thing in the PSA pop report. I couldn't find them in the SGC pop report. Maybe I didn't look right. I'm not really sure. There are 19 of these in the PSA pop report, so I'm not really sure where the other 5 are. Maybe with Beckett, I didn't look up their pop report, but 19 with PSA. So before the Lucky 7 find, remember, the best was a PSA 1. One of those sold for $150,000 at auction. PSA 1. It's believed to be the most valuable card pound for pound. And by pound for pound, it means if there were a PSA 10, it would go for the most money. Now, every time I say something like that, somebody comments, oh, the most valuable is Honus Wagner or Babe Ruth rookie or Zion Williamson. I don't know. Probably not Zion. That's just to bug my friend James, who hates Zion. So the front of it looks just the same as the red portrait, except it's got a glossier coating. The best part of the story is that many months after finding this and selling it at auction, this family was going through the house one final time. And there was an old dusty box filled with books. And they started pulling the books out, and they found one more Ty Cobb Back between two old dusty books. And they sent it off to get graded. It came back a 2, PSA 2, and instead of selling it and making what would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars more, they kept it as a memento to remind them of the life-changing event that it was. Now, this family wants to remain anonymous, which I can certainly respect. Somebody just won $1.3 billion in the Mega Millions here in Maine, and those people are remaining anonymous, which is very smart. If I suddenly came into several $1 million, I would want to be anonymous as well. What would you do if you found something like this and it was worth millions and millions of dollars? Would you sell all of them? Would you keep 1, 2, 3? Would you want to remain anonymous? I'd love to hear your comments. Let me know. If you're new here, click that subscribe button. I do pretty much daily content on sports cards, mostly baseball, and a weekly Attic Find Friday video, which is a great time. It's my favorite thing to do. So thank you very much for watching. I love doing this stuff, you guys, and I'm glad that it's resonating with so many people. I'll be at 3,000 subscribers pretty soon. I'm going to do another giveaway and another live stream on a Friday or Saturday night. I'm also working on some more interviews with some pretty big people in the collecting world. I've talked about this before. I'm not going to do investing type people, but people that I think know a lot about collecting and have a really cool collection. I want to talk to them. So, who would you like to see me interview? I'm interested in getting some names too on that. I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you have a great weekend, and I will be back with more video on Sunday.